Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Top 10 Songs. We got my good friend joining the Zoom call once again, Jack Toledano from Long Island, New York. We're going to talk some Iced Earth today for all you power metal fans. So, Jack, welcome to the show, my friend.
Oh, thank you, Pete. Again, as always, it's great to do this. Iced Earth is a band that, let me just preface it by saying, Pete, who I consider an expert in all types of music, you surprised me again yesterday with that 70s AM top 40, which was great, by the way.
People are loving it. You know, you got to give
Yes.
you got to give a little something to everybody. So, and
then after the show, I have another suggestion for you, but we'll talk off camera after.
Okay, sounds good.
Pete has introduced me to a lot of bands. I believe this was one band that I actually introduced to Pete, and I'm very happy that it's basically caught fire. Iced Earth is a great band, and I've been a fan of theirs for over 20 years, so that's my spiel.
Yep, no, he's absolutely correct. So I had heard Iced Earth or heard of them, never really listened to them, and then Jack, if I remember correctly, you showed me the Something Wicked This Way Comes album. You said, you got to listen to these guys. And I remember loving the album cover art because, of course, I'm an Iron Maiden fan, and how could you not like the similar type of characters on the cover? And I was sold from there. That was it. So that was what, 1990?
98, 99.
Yeah, I was going to say late 90s. So yeah, and they had been around for a couple of years already at that point in time. So so Jack and I are, as we normally do on these shows, we're going to top 10. We're going to start at number 10, work our way to number 1. I've got a ridiculous amount of honorable mentions, which I'm not going to go through all of them, but this was very hard. And I'll tell you, and I'll let Jack touch on this as well, but you know, I'm really keen on those early albums a lot.
Yes.
But all their albums are very strong. And I could have easily filled up my top 10 with all stuff from the first like 4 albums. But I didn't think that was fair because I really dig a lot of songs from throughout their career. And I really like some of the more recent stuff. So I tried very hard to kind of be as fair to the whole catalog as possible. But it's, you know, I really have a lot of strong favorites that tie to the early part of the catalog. And I think Jack is probably going to be in a similar territory there. So and like we don't compare notes or compare lists, so I have no idea what Jack has got on his, and nor does he on mine. And I'm going to let Jack kick it off with his number 10 if he wants to throw a couple other things out beforehand.
Sure. Actually, yeah. Well, I'll get to that later. But yeah, to start off, basically what I had to do is I had to go back and re-listen to a bunch of their more recent albums, and I basically did that for the last week or two. Again, to be fair, like you said, Pete, to some of their their newer material, and you know, Stu Block, the new vocalist, I have nothing but the kindest things to say. He's a great. To me, he was the perfect replacement for Matt Barlow.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And I had been familiar with Stu.
And I definitely had to give him his due.
There you go. It looks like we froze for a second, but you're good.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you froze for a second.
Yeah, we both did. So, all right. So, yeah, you was talking about Stu Block, and I just wanted to give him a shout out because I was listening to him when he was the vocalist for Into Eternity. So, as sad as I was to see him leave that band, he, like you said, it was a great choice for Iced Earth. So, all right, what do you got? Number 10, Jack.
Number 10 is the title track of the album, Plagues of Babylon.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's great kickoff to the album, and to me it was a bit of a throwback to the Iced Earth that I remember from Something Wicked This Way Comes backwards to their first self-titled album, Iced Earth.
Yeah, those kind of galloping rhythms and those, super fast picked riffs and the melody. I mean, that's the one thing about this band that you always have to remember. It's like their songs are so melodic and so memorable. You know, as heavy as a lot of the material is, just catchy hooks everywhere, right? And that's a good choice. I'm going to go with my number 10. I'm going to go to the Dystopia album, which I like quite a bit. And that was the first one with Stu Block on vocals. And you're probably going to see some similarities among my list. And it's this band on all their albums usually throw in a couple like really melodic kind of melancholy tunes, and I really like those. And Anguish of Youth is kind of that song from Dystopia. I really love Anguish of Youth. I think it's a great vocal performance from Stu. It's memorable, it's moody, it's melodic, it's powerful. That's my number 10.
Okay, great. So my number 9 is also a Stu Block selection. It is the, at the time I had bought the album Dystopia because they were touring with Symphony X. I believe you were with me on that.
Yep, I was.
Concert, and it was very interesting listening to their album, that album side by side with Iconoclast was the album at the time. And both were great albums. And the album-wise, I gave them a slight nod to Symphony X. But then when we saw them in concert and Symphony X played pretty much the whole Iconoclast album, I gave the nod to the set to Iced Earth because they played Stu Block, effortlessly played a bunch of the old Matt Barlow tunes and a couple of my favorites. But we'll get into those later.
Very cool.
So my number 9 is the title track to Dystopia.
Yeah, it's a good one. That's a good one. I dig it. It's a good choice. My number 9, I'm going to go back a couple albums. The first album with Tim Ripper Owens on vocals.
Oh, okay.
At the time, I thought was a really good choice for the band, and I saw them on this tour. So we're going to the Glorious Burden album, and I'm going to go with Declaration Day, which I think is a kick-ass anthem. I love his voice. Again, very different singer from Matt Barlow, all right? So he was an interesting choice, but I think he really worked out well. And that's just a rip-roaring, anthem for the band. And, again, that whole album marked a kind of lyrical turn for John Schaefer, who was, really into the whole Civil War stuff. I mean, he's like a war historian. So, I dig that album. There's a lot of great choices on that album, but that's probably my favorite from that record. So Declaration Day.
That's great. Okay, so number 8, and I know you've asked this question, in your personal friends on Facebook. One of the questions you asked: what are your top live albums? And this one always bubbles to the top for me. It's one of the top live albums, in addition to Kiss Alive. It's the album Alive in Athens. Yeah,
it's amazing.
I was fortunate enough to be able to find the 3-disc set. And basically, long story short, they recorded 2 different sets in Athens, and then they basically filled 3 discs with 2 full sets and then some extra songs on the 3rd set. But one of the songs that they played, and this is actually on the 3rd disc, is Desert Rain. Great song. Yeah.
It's a great song, and that is without a doubt the best version of it.
Yes, and I love the way it's a great song. I first was introduced to it on they did a Days of Purgatory. That's So basically what they did was John Schaefer did a redo on some of their older songs with Matt Barlow, and that's where I was first introduced to it. But then this live version was killer.
Yeah, so. I will say I love the Days of Purgatory album. I'm going to go on 2 tangents here. And I think that was, I'm not always a huge fan of bands going and re-recording older material. Mm-hmm. But in this instance, because it was done so shortly after they did those first couple albums, I think that was a great call, because I think those songs are all better with Barlow on vocals, right? Even though like Night of the Storm Rider is a killer album with killer vocals, I like the versions with Matt singing better.
Yeah.
And to get back to Alive in Athens, the last let's say 30 years have not been very kind in producing memorable classic live albums like it was in the 70s, the 60s, and the early 80s. But that one is one of the best live metal albums ever released.
No question.
Right. And I think it's a shame that not a lot of people know about it. The hardcore fans do, but like older school metal fans who maybe aren't listening to a lot of the newer bands that have come out since the 90s are really missing out. That's a amazing live album.
Yes.
Cool. Where are we? Did you go? Did I go?
I just did number 8 with Desert.
All right, there we go. I knew we were going to go off on a tangent. I was going to lose my track. All right, so I got to throw a horror show song in here. I'm a huge classic Universal horror monster fan, right? Monster fan.
Right.
And I remember when that horror show album first came out, I was way into it just because it's a great concept album. I love all the classic monsters, all that kind of stuff. I think I remember that album being better than I think it is today, if that makes any sense. Like when I revisit horror show today, I still really dig it, but I think I liked it better back when it first came out than I do now. It still has, I find like half of the songs on there kind of sound way too similar to each other, but there's a couple that are, I think, amazing. And my favorite by far is Damien. Of course, okay. Damien, the Omen character, right? Yep, and I think that's the longest song on the album. It's epic. It's kind of complex. It's got great riffs. I love the vocals. So that's my one horror show entrant into this top 10, Damien.
Okay, very cool. I know it well.
Yeah.
But number 7 may be a little bit of a surprise because I'm actually going to go back to the Plagues of Babylon album.
Okay.
So, of course, this is kind of an Iced Earth meets Molly Hatchet type song, Maker. Yes. I just love the lyrics in that song. And it's, again, it identifies with some of Molly Hatchet's heavier stuff.
Yeah, it's got kind of those flavors on there, right? And there's a good amount of soloing on there and stuff. Yeah, that's a good choice. Yeah, that's a good album. That album's got a lot of variety on it, which I think is what made it so good. I know some people did not like that, right? There were some like longtime Iced Earth fans who thought there was a little too much variety on the Plagues of Babylon album, but I think it worked in their favor there, in my personal opinion. Okay. So my number 7, I'm going to go to the Incorruptible album, which I think is a very strong record. And again, you're going to see, like I said at the beginning, that I tend to like a lot of their real melodic, moodier pieces. And Raven Wing is that song on that album. It's so memorable. It's, like I said, it's just dripping with emotion. It's moody, it's heavy, it's slow building, and I love Stu's vocal on it. Right. Great song. Great chorus, too.
You know, good choice. Yeah. All right.
Number 6.
And this is going to be my sole selection. You know what a fan I am of vocalist Tim Ripper Owens.
Yep.
A lot of Priest fans were very critical of his time in Priest, but I love the work he did on the first album he did with them. Please refresh my memory.
The Jugulator.
Jugulator. That's yes, amazing work, and I've always respected him since then. So number 6 is off of the Framing Armageddon album. It's and it alludes to the trilogy of songs that they did off of Something Wicked This Way Comes, the Domino Decree.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that is a good one.
One thing I really love about this, and I know you're a huge fan of Uriah Heep. That was Iced Earth meets Uriah Heep for me, and I love the work on the Hammond organ that they brought in on that song.
Any Hammond organ is good.
Yes.
Whether it's in a bluesy hard rock song or a metal song, man, there's something about that Hammond organ, man, that just like, woo. Just, I guess because I'm such a big Heap and Purple fan, but yeah.
I never thought I'd ever hear that from an Iced Earth song, but it
worked though, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
That's a good choice. Well, we're going to stay on the Tim Ripper Owens theme here. I'm going to go back to the Glorious Burden album for, I think, you talk about his time in Priest. I mean, he was like screaming up a storm on those Priest albums. And I think for me, the one track where he really does that so well in Iced Earth is on Red Baron / the Blue Max on the Glorious Burden album. I mean, just where he goes Red Baron, he goes just like right through the roof. It's just amazing. Every time I hear that song, it's just like, whoa, it sends chills up and down my spine. Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. All right, top 5. Here we go.
All right. So, my phone just keeps closing on me. That's where I'm reading my top 10 off of. But number 5 again is another song that I learned off of Days of Purgatory, and it was the opening song. I absolutely love it. It's originally from the first Iced Earth album. It's called Colors.
Oh yeah! It's a good one. That's a good one.
Freaking amazing song.
Yeah.
Love you know, that melodic opening into that heavy riff, and you know, and then New York City gangs, you know, goes into it from there. But great tune.
That's a good choice. I completely forgot about that one. That's a very good choice. Yeah, like I mean, they got so many great songs. It's kind of crazy.
Right. Yeah.
All right, my number 5. I'm going to go to the "Something Wicked This Way Comes" album. "Blessed Are You," "Blessed Am I," "Children of the Night."
Right.
Again, it's just that's again one of those kind of real hook-laden, moody tracks, which are all over that album and Dark Saga, and I love all those tunes. Like again, it's not the rip snorting fast riff tracks like they do so well, but powerful stuff there, you know. And Matt Barlow's vocals. I mean, I think that album, the Dark Saga album, is where he really showed like all the different facets of his vocal style. You know, because the Burnt Offerings album, he was really aggressive. And then the next 2 albums, he kind of started doing a lot more melodic things. You know, a lot of people say he kind of sounded like Paul Stanley from Kiss on some of those tunes, right? But which, you know, a little bit, right? A little bit. Mm-hmm. All right, number 4, what you got?
Number 4. Okay, so now you're getting into the heart of my real favorite Iced Earth songs. And this one is off of Night of the Storm Rider, as well as on Days of Purgatory. I absolutely love this song, Angel's Holocaust.
Oh, yeah. God, how did that not make my top 10? Jesus. How did that not make my top 10? How did that not make my top 10? I'm looking at it. It's in my honorable mentions, but I'm like, Jesus, how did I forget?
That is a freaking amazing song.
Oh, yeah, that is, yeah.
Like, voices introducing the song, and then, and then it goes, duh, 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 duh. Doesn't get any better than that.
One of the fastest picking hands in the business, right? John Schaefer.
Right, yeah.
Jesus.
Right,
yeah.
Yes. Agreed.
Yep, that's a good one. That's the damn good one. All right. My number 4, Dante's Inferno from Burnt Offerings.
Okay. Yes, that's a very good choice.
Is that that's kind of like their first big epic, right?
Yes. Yes.
Right. Yeah.
On Alive in Athens, he said 15 minutes through hell, and then he introduced the next song, which went to heaven. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That heavy stuff. That Burnt Offerings album is brutally heavy. Love it. Love it. All right, number 3, Jack. What do you got?
Okay, number 3. This now we're going to go to the album that introduced me to Iced Earth, Something Wicked This Way Comes. And there are so many good choices on that album, but this song just keeps coming back and resonating to me. And I love the way he announces it in the Alive album. My own savior. Yeah, great song.
That is.
I mean, it's only clocks in about 3-4 minutes, but
that's all it needs. That's all it needs.
Yes.
Yeah, I really had to try very hard not to fill up my entire list with Something Wicked This Way Comes and Dark Saga tunes, because I could have easily done that. And I'll tell you, the Something Wicked album is top to bottom, top notch, really.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah. So that's a good choice. Very good song. The whole album was really good. My number 3, I'm going to go to Dark Saga.
Okay.
I Died for You.
Oh, that's a great song. Yeah.
Right. Again, you see a pattern here. A lot of my favorites from this band are those really kind of moody, melancholy pieces. And I think they just do them so well. So well. It's a good album. Dark Saga is good. It's a little more of a melodic album than the ones that came before it. A lot of shorter songs, but I think they're all really memorable and catchy, and but still heavy, So
right. Yeah. Number 2 for me is back again to Something Wicked This Way Comes, and I think you know this one very well. Starts with a very melodic piano piece for about a minute, and then it goes right into Becoming Curse. That's my number 2.
Yeah, that's another great one.
Yeah. I think that's my first epic, that I really enjoyed from Iced Earth before I ever heard Dante's Inferno, but that one, you can't forget.
No, you can't. It's really good. And it's got a lot of kind of twists and turns throughout that song, which I really dig. Yeah, it's like I said, you could put that whole album on this top 10 list. It's crazy. My number 2 is also from that album. How about a little melancholy Holy Martyr?
Yeah, that's a great song. Yeah,
I mean the chorus just kills me. It's so good.
Oh yeah,
it's got that kind of dreamy, bubbling, slow build. It's powerful. It's atmospheric. It's so good.
Yeah, while I was, working this week and I needed a little music, I actually started to listen to some, I went back to Something Wicked and that song came on. That is a great song. It's not a lot of people know that it's about Jesus Christ, and
Yeah.
he's
Yep.
basically singing to the people, and yeah.
Yep. Great stuff.
Yes.
All right.
Drum roll.
Number
And
one.
believe it or not, this was not that difficult for me.
My
This is
number one was not either.
Oh, this is an amazing song. Again, it's off of Night of the Storm Rider. And again, kudos to Matt Barlow for really bringing this song back to life. I heard it with John Greeley, who was the original vocalist, and it just didn't do it for me. But kudos, Matt. Pure Evil.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I love that song. That is the most killer riff. And that probably in my top 10 of all-time metal songs.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, it is great. It is great.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now what's yours?
Well, I'm going to stick on the same album.
Oh, okay.
Night of the Storm Rider. It's also on Days of Purgatory, and it's even better on Alive in Athens. You have any idea what I'm picking here?
Oh, shit. Not When the Night Falls. Oh, man, you're killing me. Slave to the Dark. I don't know. What?
How about We Travel in Stygian?
Okay. Traveling Stygian. Yep. That's a great song.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Killer stuff. I mean, that whole Night of the Storm Rider album has just some great songs. Great songs. Yeah, this was hard. Right. I mean, like I said, I'm looking at my honorable mentions list, and it's just absolutely enormous. And a lot of the stuff that you had in your list is in my honorable mentions. Like you mentioned, Angels Holocaust is in mine. Pure Evil is in mine. You didn't mention Burnt Offerings. That's another great song. Yeah. Desert Rain was in my original top 10. And I bumped it at the last minute to put in Anguish of Youth by Dystopia. And it's like, again, I was torn because I could have had like all my songs from like 2 albums. I didn't want to do that. But Desert Rain is absolutely a great song. And that's probably number 11 for me.
Okay.
Creator's Failure, also from Burnt Offerings. Great.
Right.
The Dark Saga, Violate, The Hunter. The Hunter's a great song, right?
Violate. Yes. Yeah. I agonized over leaving that song out, but
I know, right?
That was a song. That and Last December are songs that they continue.
Oh, Last December! How did I forget that?
Yeah, but
that is a great song.
That were in their set list when I first got into them.
Yeah. Oh, Last December is awesome.
Here's another little tidbit that I should bring up, and I was going to bring my the Something Wicked album over. I'm just going to get it 2 seconds.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, this is a really tough list, guys. For any of you who are Iced Earth fans out there, I think you know what we're talking about here.
Early when we were starting, and I'm like, I left the CD over on my coffee table. I'm like, God damn it! I wanted to talk about it, but so. We've done 4 or 5 now, Pete, and I don't know if you're aware of this, but Iced Earth is the only band that I've ever seen on my birthday.
Oh, really?
Yes, on my birthday. And they played at this little place called Coney Island High in Manhattan.
I remember that place.
Yes, and after the show, me and my friends went and got a slice of pizza, and then we went back over there, and there he is, having just showered in a ponytail, Matt Barlow. So... he actually signed my copy of Something Wicked this week.
Oh, there you go. Very nice. So, very cool.
Something Wicked for those.
Yeah, great album. I can't believe I forgot Last December. That's crazy.
It's okay.
How about Disciples of the Lie?
Yes. I know. I remember when you first heard that, you're like, wow, they're a little too thrashy for me at that time. But.
Well, you know what it is? Because at the time when I first started to get into Iced Earth, I wasn't listening to a ton of metal. I kind of got out of metal for a few years in the 90s because, the grunge and alternative kind of came into play. And a lot of the hard rock and metal bands we were listening to in the 80s started playing different kinds of music. I wasn't listening to thrash as much anymore, but it wasn't until the late 90s starting to get into bands like Iced Earth, and listening to Pantera and stuff like that. I started to get back into metal again. But yeah, I remember first time I heard Disciples of the Lie, I'm like, whoa, my God, this is like the heaviest thing I've listened to in a while, right?
Right. But
So
as for other honorable mentions, I have to give an honorable mention. I regretted leaving this off. Burning Times, the first icedearth song I ever heard.
yeah, it's on mine too. Yeah, it's a great one.
I fell in love immediately. Yeah.
Watching Over Me is another great song off that album, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep.
That is a great song. Yeah.
When the Eagle Cries off of The Glorious Burden, another great one.
Right. Yeah.
And you know, those long epics on that album are great, like The Reckoning, The Devil to Pay, and High Watermark. Those are fantastic.
Right.
Anthem from Dystopia is another great song. Wolf from Horror Show, Imhotep from Horror Show. You know, a lot of good songs. A lot of good songs.
But I think I mentioned, let me see if I left any off. Honorable mentions. Okay. Ghost of Freedom, Jekyll and Hyde.
Oh, Jekyll and Hyde, yeah.
Yeah. Attila off The Glorious Burden.
Mm-hmm.
Green Face, I thought was some of Tim Ripper Owens' best work. What else? I Walk Alone.
Yeah.
Sacrificial Kingdoms. The Revealing. So just a few.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones. It's a really good band. Not really many bad songs, if any at all. Quality stuff. God, they're due for something, aren't they? When did Incorruptible come out? That's been what, 3 years?
Very good question. 2017 it came out.
Okay, so yeah, they're due. They're due
Right.
pretty soon this year and next year. So I'm sure we'll see something from them.
Hopefully.
You know, they'd usually it's every like kind of 3 years or so from them or thereabouts. So cool. Well, cool, Jack. Thanks for joining. This was fun as always. Love talking about bands you love, right? It's
right.
kind of what we do here, right?
and having a beer. I love one of the last. I was reading some of the comments from the last one. Yeah,
iced tea for me, but the beer will be coming. Yeah.
I read some of the comments from. And I love the way you preface it to some people that, guys, this is our opinion. This is not etched in stone. This is not the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but
no, it's not. It's not. I like to treat these shows as more of a conversation piece. So I like to pretend.
I liked what one guy said. He's like, nothing better than two metal guys having a beer and sitting back and talking about their favorite bands and their favorite songs. So
that's what it's all about. And we're inviting our viewers into our living rooms, right? So it's like, this is just a conversation about a band we love.
Right.
We're just telling you our favorites. You're going to have different ones, and there's no right or wrong answer. It's just what you like, right? So, yeah, absolutely.
Right.
So
exactly.
Cool. Well, I want to thank Jack for joining us once again. We'll be having him back soon, I'm sure. And I want to make sure everybody goes to our website at www.seatranquility.org and read all our great reviews over there. Visit us at Facebook, visit us on Twitter, but more importantly, come here every day on YouTube for more enticing content on some of the music and bands you love. So for Jack, I am Pete Pardo. Have a good rest of the weekend, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Jack, take us out.
What just remind me, what's that thing you say? On the web, or what is it exactly?
All the damn time.
All the damn time.
We're on YouTube all the damn time. There you go. You'll get it. You'll get it next time, right?
Yes. Yes. Even if I have to write it in front of my lap, I will remember it. Yes.
There you go.
But Pete, so much to be able to do this, and I love to hear everybody's comments. So
there you go. Sounds good. So take care, everybody. Let me remember, list all your favorite icedearth songs, and we'll see you again next time. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right.